Today we are checking out the absurdity of One Piece Admirals YouTube video. You should check out the video for yourself without my reaction. Go watch the actual creator's video, support it, leave a like, leave a comment, let them know what you think about the video. Okay, you could also do that for me too. I'm just saying, maybe subscribe to the channel if you enjoy One Piece, because I enjoy One Piece probably more than you. If you enjoy my One Piece reactions, go check out my One Piece reactions.
Towards the beginning of the One Piece story, we're told that the One Piece world has three great powers, and that the balance between them is what allows for world peace to be maintained. Those three powers are Marine Headquarters, Yonko, and 7 Warlords of the Sea, and just like pretty much everything in the One Piece story, all three of these things have evolved as the story has gone on. The members of the Yonko have changed, as the original Yonko were Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, and Shanks. Blackbeard then took Whitebeard's spot after the Marineford War and the time skip, where Blackbeard killed Whitebeard and then beat the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates about a year into the time skip. Then, after Big Mom and Kaido were defeated by the Straw Hats in their alliance, Luffy and Buggy took their spot, and now Shanks is the only member of the original Yonko that's still there. When it comes to the 7 Warlords of the Sea, Luffy was defeating members of them back to back before the time skip, and as of the Reverie, they don't exist anymore. That's because they were replaced by the final major weapon that Vegapunk created for the world government, the Seraphims. The Seraphim are a special type of pacifista unit.
The Seraphim are basically the fucking warlords. They cheated and made fucking Lunarian robot pacifista warlord cheating. It's fucking hacks, bro. Also, by the way, we call this, oh, the 3 great powers. They're like kind of like checks and balances each other with the damn Yonko and then the 7 warlords and the Marine. But the warlords and the Marine kind of low-key together. You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't really see them as separate things. Like maybe early on, and which he does mention it's early on that he's talking about, but like as we kept on watching the show, I was like, yo, they kind of like allied a little bit when you think about it.
It's developed by the Marine Special Science Group with the intention of replacing the 7 Warlords of the Sea. They're living weapons built as clones of the former members of the Warlords, mixed with King's Lunarian lineage factor, and augmented with the Devil Fruit power replicating green blood. These guys are
augmented with the Devil Fruit power replicating green blood. Oh, I never even questioned how they had the Devil Fruit powers up until this moment, right now. I never even questioned why, for example, like Kuma had Kuma powers. I never questioned why the fucking Seraphim version of Hancock had the same Devil Fruit powers. I just never questioned it. It just literally never came to mind. But now, so it's because they have this green blood in them that replicates the Devil Fruit powers? Wow. I just literally didn't even question it. It just never even, you know? Huh. Interesting.
Are really cool and could definitely get a video of their own one day.
Oh, for
but the
sure.
7 Warlords of the Sea were disbanded once they were created. And finally, we've got the Marine Headquarters, which is the main division of the Marine organization that has jurisdiction over the Grand.
Vegapunk explained it during Luffy versus Lucci. He replicated their DNA, blood elements, and put it in the green blood. Yeah, but I didn't really like consider like the Devil Fruit element of things. You know what I mean? Being able to replicate devil fruit elements, you know what I mean? Or devil fruit powers and shit. That seems like, you know?
Fine. It's where the elite of the elite Marines are stationed, and that includes the Rear Admirals, Vice Admirals, and Admirals. It's also where the Fleet Admiral resides, and I also might be making some videos about the Marines that rank higher than the Admirals in the future as well. Today, we're here to talk about all the people that we've seen hold an Admiral title in the story so far, as there are some pretty absurd characters that have held that rank.
True.
One of the craziest things about the Admirals, in my opinion, is the fact that the first one that we met isn't even with the Navy anymore, and that guy's name is Aokiji. He's also known as Kuzan, and was once an Admiral of the Navy that was actually trained by the hero of the Navy, Monkey D.
Actually, technically his name's Kuzan, and he's also known as Aokiji, but yeah.
Garp. During the time skip, he was even nominated for the Fleet Admiral position by the former Fleet Admiral Sengoku, but once he lost a battle for the position against Akainu, he resigned from the Navy instead of returning to his position as a normal admiral. After he left the Marines, he then ended up joining
I would also
the
feel some type of way about the whole
Pirates
Akainu
and
thing.
became one of the 10 Titanic captains, currently serving as the captain of the 10th ship of the fleet. Aokiji has been a really interesting character.
I hate that he joined up with his bitch Blackbeard, bro, but I guess there's a reason.
That has to do with his past.
I just don't know if
we already know that he was trained by Garp, but he was also around for one of the most infamous disasters in the history of the One Piece world, the annihilation of Ohara. When Ohara was getting destroyed, Kuzan was one of the 5 vice admirals that took part in the buster call that was called on the island. This would have made him connected to Robin no matter what, but he was particularly distraught when Akainu destroyed a ship with innocent civilians on it, just because there was a chance that Robin was on the ship as well. This made it so even though he froze Saul and didn't let him escape, he did give Robin a way to get away, explaining why she was so scared when she saw Aokiji at the current day. Aokiji is also a really interesting first admiral for us to meet, mainly because he's so laid back, showing no shock or surprise for almost anything.
Yeah.
His lack of interest and lazy justice often leads to others believing that he can't possibly be a Marine of such high ranking, which causes them to underestimate him, making him all the more dangerous. With that being said, he can't be all that lazy, because we've seen multiple times how hard he used to train when under Garp, going with his master to punch ships all day long in order to get stronger. Aokiji is also a compassionate man, helping Tonjit at Long Ring Long Land to cross the ocean with his ability, and even letting Robin escape the buster call on Ohara, even sabotaging the Navy ships that were about to go after her. Despite being a Marine, this compassion can even extend to pirates as long as their actions are mostly benevolent. He chose to not arrest or kill Luffy because the young pirate had defeated Crocodile beforehand, thus saving Alabasta from the latter's malevolence. He also hates his former admiral colleague Akainu because of the way that he's disgusted by his brutal actions when dealing with situations, and he thinks he's a fool. He also appears during the strangest times, other than his participation in the Marineford War, and him showing up during the celebration at the end of the Enies lobby arc actually scared me the first time I watched the series. I thought that he was gonna try to take her in after the Straw Hats worked so hard to get her back, but he's just happy that she's found a place where she truly belongs, still reminding—
Yeah, which is very surprising, you know what I mean? Because we know he's like an admiral and shit, but he's like kind of glad that she's just like able to live her life now. It's like, Aokiji is a bit of an enigma. He's so very different from Akainu. Akainu is, I mean, we know Akainu through and through. The way that he acts, what he does, like he is not a very compassionate guy.
That he's out there to stop her if she does anything wrong. Kuzan is also one of the coolest characters in the entire series, no pun intended, and you just know that some crazy shit is about to go down whenever you see him. He's also got a really broken Logia Devil Fruit that allows him to create, control, and transform into ice at will, but I've already talked about his Devil Fruit in a previous video that'll be linked in the description. Kuzan being a member of the Blackbeard Pirates also makes his role in the final saga really interesting,
Very
and the community has had theories about him being a double agent ever since his new role was revealed. In his most recent appearance, he also had an extremely emotional fight against his mentor Garp, where Aokiji actually ended as the victor. He may have won the fight, but Garp was able to get Kobe off of Hachinosu like he wanted to, and Garp is even still alive, even though he's currently in the clutches of the Blackbeard Pirates. Something tells me that the two of them could definitely team up again in some way during the final war, especially with the way that Garp is still strong because of his old age, but only time will tell. Each admiral has a form of justice that they're known for as well, and as I've already mentioned, Aokiji's is lazy justice. When it comes to lazy justice, Kuzan believes that justice is seldom worth pursuing and should only be enforced with little effort. This can be seen reflected in his apathetic attitude and unwillingness to act, and his motto used to be burning justice, but he came to change his views following the events of Ohara. The events of Ohara really changed the way way that Aokiji thought about the world,
And I don't blame
I
him
think
for
that
that.
that's a big reason as to why he left the Marines after he lost his fight against Akainu. Every character that's been an admiral in the story so far is going to play a
music just
huge
came out of
role in
nowhere.
this final saga, but Aokiji is extra interesting to me because of the ways that he switched his alliance as the story has
Yeah,
gone
I could totally
on.
see
Now,
him
we've
being
only
like
got
a
4
double agent,
admirals left to
for
talk
sure.
about for this video, and the next one that we're going to be talking about is Kizaru. Kizaru is also known as Borsali.
And Kizaru is the one we're gonna fucking find out is like low-key a coward. I think that's what we end up finding out about him. Very, very different from Akainu and Aokiji. I meant Aokiji, but also Akainu, yeah.
After Kuzan resigned from the Marines and Akainu was promoted to Fleet Admiral, Kizaru is the only remaining admiral from the previous trio. He first appeared in the Saboti Archipelago arc, and he was a one-man wrecking crew when he first appeared, defeating pretty much anybody that he wanted to with relative ease. The only person that was able to do anything against him was Rayleigh, and this guy was the right-hand man of the King of the Pirates, no matter how old he currently is.
Rayleigh's the GOAT.
Aokiji, we haven't seen Kizaru in that many arcs, but each time he makes an appearance, he leaves an impact. During Marineford, he played just as big a role as his other admirals that aren't named Akainu, and I believe that that arc does a really great job of making the Navy seem like a true threat. He then appeared again around the events of the Wano arc, asking Akainu if he should go deal with the samurai of Wano, but Akainu told him to stay out of it, so he didn't end up going. He also talked about the 7 Warlords of the Sea during the Zou arc, and worried about the Charlo situation that happened at Reverie, but he didn't really play a role post-time skip until the Egghead Island arc. This was the arc where we learned more about his past, but we also learned a little bit about his Vice Admiral days during the Fishman Island arc. The timeline gets a little weird because some of the events with Vegapunk happened before his Vice Admiral days, and some happened after them, so I'm gonna try my best to talk about them in order here. So, about 26 years ago, Kizaru
Oh, this is actually gonna... I don't remember if I remember. I don't know if I remember all this stuff. What is this stuff? Hold on now.
On a mission to arrest the scientist Vegapunk. Upon introducing himself to Vegapunk, the scientist asked the sailor how much the Marines would pay for his research funds, and promptly brushed off the pretense of his arrest as merely an excuse for the Marines to have access to his knowledge. This is what made the relationship between the world government and Vegapunk that he had all the way up until the Egghead Island arc, and he did some really great things for them. It was also around this time that Kizaru and Vegapunk came upon a village during one of their trips, where they discovered a young Sentomaru who had just beaten up some bears that were terrorizing the villagers. It was...
Someone pre-watched this to make sure it doesn't have any manga spoilers? This is spoilers? I think this is spoilers. This is spoilers? Or are you saying the Kizaru Fishman Island stuff is spoilers? Because that, I do not remember. Last panel was spoilers? Oh, this is after it's all done of an Egghead? This is at the end of the Egghead stuff? Damn, so somebody's trying to spoil me, yo.
Beaten up some bears that were terrorizing the villagers. It was after this that Kizaru took him to train to be Vegapunk's bodyguard, and that's why the 3 of them were so connected during the Egghead Island arc. It was after this time that Kizaru was a Vice Admiral, where he easily defeated an Arlong who was trying...
Oh yeah, this is spoiler stuff. Wow. Is this stuff that we're gonna get in the next couple of episodes, or is this something that we get in like Elbaf? Or you think we're not even gonna get it? It's during this arc, so we'll get it in the next couple episodes? Oh, okay.
To avenge Fisher Tiger after Fool Shout Island sold him out. I did not expect to see... Kizaru took him to train to be Vegapunk's bodyguard, and that's why the 3 of them were so connected during the Egghead Island arc. It was after this time that Kizaru was a Vice Admiral, where he easily defeated an Arlong who was trying to avenge Fisher Tiger after Fool Shout Island sold him out. I did not expect to see Kizaru in this arc, but it's his shock in finding out that Fisher Tiger is dead, and the stuff that happened on Egghead Island that might be changing his character moving forward. Speaking of Egghead, Kizaru was...
I don't remember that shit at all.
When it was first built around 4 years ago, while he was already an admiral, and that's when all the stuff with Kuma and Bonnie happened. Even though he was upset about the fact that Kuma needed to be turned into a weapon in order for Bonnie to be cured, he still allowed it to happen because that was his job. Kizaru is easily one of the most interesting characters during the Egghead Island incident as well, because it's clear the entire time that he's really conflicted about his role in the grand scheme.
Very much so, but he's too much of a coward to step up to these motherfuckers.
scheme of things. This made his character much more than the really strong light man, and I think it did wonders for his
I
character.
like that. It made him more than the really strong light man. It gave him some depth.
Especially his outburst towards Akainu at the end. Kizaru was a threat the entire arc, immediately engaging Luffy in battle and making it clear that he had a mission to kill Vegapunk. The entire time that he's on the island though, it seems like he has more on his mind, making his mission harder, and the fact that Luffy's actually strong now doesn't make things any easier. With that being said, he does end up mortally wounding Vegapunk with one of his light attacks, and once his job is done, Luffy sends him flying into a ship where he stays until the end of the arc.
Damn, so this is what that looks like in the manga? Holy fuck, bro. I need to read this manga, bro. What is this thing again? One Piece? Dude, I need to read this thing. It looks so fucking good, dude.
Once Luffy caused Kizaru to fly into a marine ship, some nearby marines asked him about his wounds, and he said that they ran deep and just asked to be left alone.
Oh,
the
yeah, I
Egghead
remember
Island
that.
arc makes Kizaru an even more likable character than he already was, and I can't wait to see his next interaction with Akainu after he told him off so strongly.
Oh, we don't see
we
don't see the tell off. The tell off thing it happens at the end, I'm assuming. So we haven't gotten there. But I can imagine, well, actually, that would be very surprising, honestly. Not going to lie. Kizaru's telling off someone that's higher up than him, but maybe the fact that he had to kill Vegapunk is going to shift the way that he acts and feels.
Kizaru follows is called Unclear Justice, and it's another brand of justice that fits perfectly with his character. As the name implies, Kizaru's justice appears to be rather ambiguous and constantly in flux, showing aspects found in both the lazy justice and absolute justice doctrines. This can be seen in his carefree attitude and fickle priorities, coupled with his surprising efficiency and ruthlessness when dealing with criminals. Kizaru is another character to hold the Admiral rank that make the group of characters really interesting, and I can't wait to see him in the story again. And for the last member of the original Admiral trio, we've got the current Fleet Admiral of the Navy, Akainu. He's also known as Sakazuki, and upon becoming the Fleet Admiral, one of his first decisions was to relocate Marine headquarters into the New World in preparation for the new pirate age. This guy is known for his ruthlessness in holding up his motto of justice, as this guy is a very strict follower of absolute justice. Now for Aokiji and Kizaru, I talked about their justice mottos at the end, but absolute justice is so important for Akainu's character that I think I need to talk about it here. With absolute justice, Sakazuki
There is no gray area with him.
He believes that even the possibility of evil existing must be eradicated down to its roots, regardless if there was any real threat to begin with. This was apparent in his decision to destroy the evacuation ship at Ohara based on the mere chance that one of their targets may be using the ship to escape.
That's insane.
This appears to be one of the most extreme forms of absolute justice, as it can lead to the death of several innocents without necessarily punishing the guilty. There are a ton of examples of this, even during the Marineford War, as he used any tactic to win, including lying to Squard about Whitebeard's feelings about him, and rage-baiting Ace into a fight with them while he was about to get away.
Yeah,
he was even about to kill Kobe because he actually made a good point about the continuation of the war causing more needless deaths, but in Akainu's eyes...
I'm gonna kill you because you made a good point. It's kind of funny. I like that. I like that that's the way he worded it. Yeah, he was gonna kill Kobe because he made a good point about like this kind of being pointless and we're just killing innocent people.
The possibility of evil hadn't been taken out, so the war must continue. Akainu is just generally a pretty scary dude, and even though the only thing he's really done since the time skip is sit behind his desk, I am scared for a time where he isn't behind it. His hatred of anything evil also drips down to the Celestial Dragons, because even though he does acknowledge them as his bosses, he definitely doesn't agree with everything that they do or stand for. This was especially prevalent in an argument that he had with the Gorosei when he was informed that the report given to Marine headquarters about Doflamingo's resignation from the Seven Warlords of the Sea was fraudulent. He argued with them himself and criticized them about how much work they issued, all because of Doflamingo. Sakazuki even insulted, provoked, and mocked them, stating that they had been walked over by the Celestial Dragon's puppets, testing his limits and showing them that he doesn't agree with everything that they do.
I don't remember all that. I don't remember Akainu talking that shit. Okay, Akainu. Hey, listen, if you talk shit to the Five Elders and the Celestial Dragons, I can fuck with you a little bit. Truly, I really can.
Puppets that he's referring to is CP0, and he doesn't seem to like CP0 either, and definitely doesn't like Lucci, as he gave his soldiers direct orders to stop him from engaging in battle with Luffy during Egghead Island. Akainu's power is also undeniable, because even though he got some scars from his battle with Aokiji, he also took one of Aokishi's legs with him, which Aokiji now needs to replicate with ice at all times in order to walk. The battle between Akainu and Aokiji is truly the stuff of legends when it comes to the One Piece story, and I really hope that we get to see more about it in the future, just like the battle between the Blackbeard pirates and the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. It's also impossible to talk about Akainu without talking about his hatred for the brother duo of Luffy and Ace. Now, given Akainu's sense of justice, it only makes sense that he hates both Ace and Luffy, especially since they're heavily connected to two people that he would only ever see as evil. When it comes to Ace, Akainu saw him as one of the two most dangerous individuals in the world, solely due to the fact that his father was Gol D. Roger. Despite the fact that he knew nothing about Ace and how he felt about his father, Akainu wanted him gone because he sees the former king of the pirates as one of the biggest threats of all time. I also just said that he saw Ace as one of the two most dangerous individuals in the world, and the other that holds the same title is Luffy himself.
I want
This
Luffy to
stems
beat
from
the
the
shit out
fact
of
that
Akainu
Luffy
so
is
bad.
Dragon's son, as he sees the leader of the Revolutionary Army as the world's worst criminal in the eyes of the world government, and the two might share a past since they're both the same age.
Yeah,
and Dragon
I could
used to be
definitely
a
see this.
Marine. Getting
I
back
could
to Luffy,
definitely see
however,
this.
because Dragon is his father, Akainu wants to get rid of him and possesses an immensely dangerous obsession with ending his life. This is shown through the way that he pursues Luffy after his mental breakdown after the death of Ace, as he literally ignored all of the other threats surrounding him and focused solely on taking Luffy's life.
True.
He tried so hard,
That
in
motherfucker,
fact,
I'm
that
glad
he
he
gave Luffy
failed.
his iconic X-shaped scar by shooting an attack through Jinbei's body and into Luffy's chest. Luffy also knows his connection to Akainu not only because of what he did to Ace, but also because of what he did to him, so their first interaction post-time skip is gonna be golden. Akainu truly strikes me as an endgame villain, because while admirals like Aokiji, Kizaru, and Fujitora are definitely admirals that could switch sides during the final war, I could never see Akainu doing that. Speaking of Fujitora, he's the next admiral that we need to talk about, and I think that this guy might just be my favorite admiral. Fujitora is also known as
He's a man of
Isho,
principle.
and he was once the captain of a guard force in the former Oi Kingdom. That was before he was conscripted through a world military draft during the 2-year time skip, and was appointed to fill one of the admiral
Kingdom?
vacancies
I don't even know that
alongside
place.
his
I
co-worker
thought he was Wano.
Green Bull. Green Bull is obviously the last admiral that we'll be discussing in this video, but Fujitora himself first appears during the Dressrosa arc. This actually makes him the first admiral to have a physical appearance in the post-time skip material, and he was also the person that spearheaded the campaign for the abolishment of the 7 Warlords of the Sea system. The craziest thing about Fujitora is that he reached the title of admiral, but he's actually a blind man that only has the whites of his eyes showing, though he usually keeps both of them closed. He has an X-shaped scar centered on the left side of his forehead that stretches over both eyes, which is actually self-inflicted due to his decision to blind himself. He decided to blind himself because he couldn't stand to even look at the evil of the world anymore, and even says during the Dressrosa arc that not having sight is a blessing. He's really an admiral for the people, something that the highest ranking
But he also mentions, damn, he wish he could see Luffy.
members of the Navy somehow lack most of the time, as he even tells his subordinates that it's more important to take into account the number of lives to protect rather than the numbers of enemies against them. He takes care—
Ooh, I like that. Damn, yeah, Fujitora definitely he's the most admirable of the admirals. He's an admiral, admiral.
to never put innocent civilians in harm's way during conflict, and will try to avoid causing collateral damage with his attacks. And in the event that he does cause collateral damage with his attacks, he makes sure to compensate the owner of the involved property. Fujitora's desire to eliminate evil also extends to rooting out corruption within the Marines and world government.
And the 7 Warlord system
and it was
is
actually
corrupt
the
as
events
fuck.
of Alabasta that made him
100%.
question the 7 Warlords of the Sea, and wonder if they're really something that's needed to check
Warlords
the power
are
of other
it's
pirates
It's
and
just such a
criminals. He's
fucked
just
up
the most based
way of
admiral
doing
by
things.
far, in my opinion.
Definitely the most
And he
based.
also gets into arguments with the Kainu all the time because of the different ways that they go about upholding justice. Like when Fujitora went to the people of Dressrosa after the Dressrosa arc, got on his hands and knees, and apologized for everything that Doflamingo had done on behalf of the entire Navy. It was the right thing to
And
do, in my
Fujitora, what is
opinion,
his
since it
justice?
was
Did
the
they mention?
Navy's
I feel like
warlord
it's
of the
true
sea
justice.
that caused them all that strife, but this caused Fujitora to get into an argument with the Kainu, and ended in a Kainu banning Fujitora from stepping foot on a naval base until he captured both Luffy
Blind
and
justice?
Law. With that being said, he even disobeyed that order by finding a
Could be, though.
loophole, and that's why he was in Meridua when the Revolutionary Army invaded during the Reverie. Him being there also made things interesting, because while he did his job and fought the Revolutionary Army, he also freed some of the Celestial Dragon's slaves, which has to be seen as an executable offense to most of them.
He don't give
With
a
that
fuck.
being said,
That's my
Fujitora
dog.
definitely doesn't care about that, isn't afraid of the Celestial Dragons, and even tried to summon a meteor during that battle before
Good.
Green Bull stopped him. Fujitora's gravity powers
love
are
'em.
also cool as hell, and there has to be a deeper reason as to why he's the only admiral that doesn't have a Logia fruit. I also believe that his fight and words about Luffy at the end of the Dressrosa arc are some of the best things that we've gotten in the post-time skip material. Firstly, Luffy going straight at an admiral to show that things are different now was pretty insane, but so were his actions during the fight. This is because he was literally telling Fujitora what he was about to do because of the fact that he's blind, and he wanted the fight to be fair. Mind you, this guy is an admiral in the Navy, so he's definitely strong enough to contend with Dressrosa Luffy, even though he is blind. It's pretty clear to me and most people that Fujitora has some of the strongest observation hockey in the entire verse,
obviously.
and that honestly
Bro might be
allows
blind, but
him
he
to
knows what's going
see
on.
even though he's physically blind. This leads to the funny moments in their fight, but it also leads to the moment where Fujitora regrets blinding himself solely because of the fact that he wants to know what Luffy looks like.
I love that.
Fujitora smiling
I
while
love
saying that he
that.
bets Luffy looks kind is weirdly wholesome in a way, and it's this moment that cements that Fujitora is truly different. Just like our other admirals, Fujitora also follows a justice motto, and his is humane justice. This form of justice tends to prioritize the protection of innocent people over the pursuit of criminals.
I thought it was going to be true justice, like real justice. Humane justice makes sense though, right? He cares more about the people than taking down the bad guys. I love that.
Though Fujitora still does both. This justice is fitting for Fujitora's moral ideals, caring for innocence, and opposing corruption.
All right, Green Bull time.
Fujitora is another character in this video that makes me excited every time I see him, and the way that he's different from the other admirals actually makes what he's gonna do kind of unpredictable. And for the final admiral and character that we need to talk about in this video, we've got the guy who became an admiral at the same time as Fujitora, Green Bull. Green Bull is also known as Aramaki, and he was formerly a policeman in the Taya Kingdom before he was chosen to be an admiral in the World Military Draft. There is something a little strange about the Navy not just promoting 2 vice admirals to fill the vacant spots,
yeah,
but it
a little
meant
weird,
that we got 2 new cool characters, so I guess I can't complain too much.
Fair enough.
This guy is actually the admiral that we know the least about, as we didn't even get to see what this guy looks like until the end of the Wano arc. He did make an appearance during the Reverie arc alongside Fujitora, but he was literally just a silhouette, and that only made the intrigue towards his character more powerful.
For real.
He seems to actually be buddies with Fujitora, which is pretty insane in the grand scheme of things, as Green Bull is known as an even stricter follower of absolute justice than Akainu. He admires Akainu and his justice so much, in fact, that in order to gain Akainu's approval, Green Bull's following of the motto borders on totalitarian fanaticism. When Green Bull first went to Wano, Akainu appeared to be very displeased and exasperated at the admiral going missing and giving vague answers about his location, though upon learning of Green Bull's destination, he was seemingly resigned to the fact that his subordinate would go there no matter what, and simply ordered him not to do anything unnecessary. So it seems like he's got Akainu's trust at least, but he's definitely gonna have to tone it back a little bit if he wants the approval from his fleet admiral that he's been seeking. Green Bull is also kind of hilarious because as the last of the Admirals to be revealed, the community really built up a lot of hype behind him and how strong he could potentially be. And that strength was definitely there when he first appeared, as he stormed into the prisoner mine where the remnants of Kaido's crew were hiding out and defeated them with ease. Now that might not sound too insane, but King and Queen were there too, and he just left everybody there impaled on tree branches as he set off to go to try to kill Luffy. I don't personally believe that he would have been successful in that endeavor, but we never got to see that fight because the protectors of Wano all pulled up to fight him instead. Now this fight was really interesting.
Didn't he get shanked though? I thought he got shanked. Am I tripping?
It was clear that Green Bull was in control until Yamato pulled up and really surprised him because of the fact that she's Kaido's son and has the ability to use Conqueror's Haki. With that being said, he was still very much in this fight, as he even defeated some of the red scabbards, completely dehydrating Raizo in the process. It even seemed like things were going to get more serious, as even Momonosuke ended up showing up and hit Green Bull with a blast breath that he regenerated from because of his Logia powers.
Yeah, Wi-Fi hockey.
After
Yeah.
that, Green Bull announced that it was
he got
time
shanked.
to get serious, but what happens next is so crazy that I'm going to read the events from the One Piece fandom verbatim. Green Bull announced that things were about to get serious, though before he could do anything, he got paralyzed by the sudden hockey blast from Shanks on a ship miles away. Shanks then telepathically spoke to Green Bull through his haki and warned him to leave this new era of pirates alone. Green Bull, not wanting to fight Shanks and his crew, begrudgingly adhered to this warning and retreated. This was an insane moment for anybody reading chapter 1055 when it dropped, and even though it makes complete sense as to why Green Bull wouldn't want to fight a Yonko crew all by himself, some of the narratives created by this moment have stuck to his character to this day. People have been calling Green Bull a coward left and right, and saying that Admiral stocks are in the mud because of him, and I can't lie.
What? Really? Because he didn't want to 1v a Yonko? Who has 1v'd a Yonko? Like, how many Admirals have 1v'd Yonkos? I mean, if you count Luffy as a Yonko, then you've got some 1v's, right? Kizaru's 1v'd him since his Yonko status, right? Oh shit, I guess you have one. That's it. That's the only one you have. Kizaru 1v'd. And that wasn't even like a full, you know what I mean? That was just like, we fighting a little bit, but like no real resolution. I don't know. I think that this idea that like he's somehow a coward because he didn't want to 1v1 a Yonko, and it probably wouldn't even be a 1v1, right? He'd still have to deal with the crew, right? There's a lot of stuff going on there. I wouldn't put that against him. It's not like we see fucking Kizaru taking on taking on Kaido, or like Akainu taking on Kaido or Big Mom or Shanks. Like Shanks and fucking... Okay, also, Akainu's a pussy too because he got stopped by Shanks and they actually stopped there. Like, get out of here. That's so dumb.
Some of the memes about this moment are pretty funny. There's a whole subset of the community that loves to push agendas and coined the term agenda piece, and I'd love to make a video about that one day, but it's kind of hard to know where to start, and I know that a video like that
What do you mean, pushing agendas, agenda piece? What do they mean by that?
To make a lot of people angry. The thing with this is that not only does Green Bull now know that Shanks is in the waters around Wano now, he also knows that Luffy is on Wano, so if he were to stay and fight, he would have to face two Yonko crews at the same time. We literally
makes perfect sense why he wouldn't do it.
Entire arc where an alliance of a shit ton of different forces were barely capable of doing that, and some people wanted Green Bull to try to do it all by himself. With that being said, he was talking pretty crazy to the protectors of Wano before feeling that hockey blast, so maybe he actually does deserve all of the slander that's been thrown his way. This also wasn't the last time that we saw Green Bull, as he was also present when Weevil was defeated and arrested, going to help once another Marine called in for backup. So he definitely isn't done trying to fight the pirate threat, even though Shanks made him piss down his leg, but there's no way that somebody could become a Navy Admiral if they gave up that easily. He's also not afraid to fight against his fellow Admirals if he needs to, and loves the idea of the Celestial Dragons having slaves, as him and Fujitora got into a fight because of the fact that Fujitora saved some. I never said that this guy was a likable character, but at least he stands on what he believes in, even if what he believes in is truly deplorable. And with that, we've talked about all the characters that we've seen in the One Piece story so far that have held the Admiral title.
Interesting.
Now, I am aware of the Z character that appeared in one of the movies, but I'm just gonna assume that he's non-canon canon until he's either mentioned or shown in the manga. And don't you worry, because even though there's a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to canon One Piece, I'll definitely be making some videos about the filler in the future, because the shit that goes down there is absolutely insane. With that being said, I do think that I'm done talking about the One Piece Admirals for now, so I think it's time to end things here.
Good video, very interesting, very informative. Thank you so much for all the information. A little bit of spoiler for the end of Egghead. Wish I would have known that before I watched this. But I'm glad that they didn't spoil anything for Elbaf. The little bit of spoiler for the Egghead stuff is not like crazy. It's like, hey, by the way, fucking Kizaru gets mad at Akainu. That was the spoiler. When it's all said and done, Kizaru's gonna get mad at Akainu. Okay, I'm okay with that being a spoiler. I want to see how it goes down. We don't really know what's said at all. He just knows that we just know that he's mad. But yeah, this was awesome. It gave me some more information about the different admirals, right? Gave me a different perspective on the characters, right? On Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu, Fujitora, who we all love. Everybody loves Fujitora. Fujitora is the GOAT. We love Fujitora and Green Bull. Anyways, man, this was awesome. Absolutely loved it. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. How do you feel about the different admirals? Which one's your favorite admiral? Which is your least favorite admiral? All those things. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the One Piece. And is it real? Who knows? Click the like button. Subscribe. Till next time, make sure you all keep it fresh. Peace.